Hi, welcome to a news episode of Sports Talk Central. I'm your host, Deep Mood, with my normal co-host Hunter. And today it's gonna be a shorter episode. We're gonna be talking about three stories: NFL salary cap going up to 255, which is a $30 million increase. Cody Bellinger is one of the first Boris clients to sign a somewhat good deal, and then you have the big issue with the redesign of the pants. More specifically, the pants and so let's start with the NFL salary cap. Salary cap, we now know that it's 255. It was expected to be around 245. That's a $30 million increase. What are your thoughts on the salary cap going up like that?
Well, I think you mean 225, right? 245 would only be a $10 million
No. It
increase.
was expected to go up to 245 for
Oh,
next year.
right.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, it would show 10 million more than expected, but well, I think what you're trying, I probably just bungled that, whatever. But my overall thoughts, it was higher than expected, which is great. But you know what this means for free agency? There's going to be a crap ton of money being spent in a couple of weeks. And for a team like the Steelers, who were against the cap heading into this year, they're already 9 million below it, and they could probably release a couple of players to get, 20 million cap compliant, 25 million. They can restructure contracts to get more cap space as well. You're going to be seeing a lot of that heading into free agency as well. And I think you're going to see one of the more busier free agent frenzies in quite some time. And I know the new league year is pretty busy even before, just because the tampering period starts and you can start talking contracts, and basically you can start agreeing to contracts, but they just can't be signed until the new league year opens. But I think you're going to see a flurry of action even more this year compared to last year, just because of the salary cap increase, 30 more million than expected. Everyone I know was joking about how Adit, part of this was because Taylor Swift, her impact on the NFL. I mean, maybe I think just
Streaming
because
as
of how,
well. It could be streaming.
yeah, streaming for sure. With Amazon Prime Video doing Thursday Night Football, the Peacock game, all that, and Amazon's also going to get a playoff game next year. I think that's going to contribute to it as well. But, seeing the cap go up like this, even just after a few years after COVID, that's pretty big for this sport. And I think it's only going to continue to go up as the years go by. But, for teams that were over the cap or trying to be cap compliant, all of a sudden now these teams can potentially spend a little bit in free agency, where I think before they were really looking towards the draft to fill all their needs, but now they can do that a little bit more in free agency. So you're going to see some crazy contracts signed, I'm sure, but this is really good news, I think, for every team in the league.
Yeah, I think a lot of Ravens fans are looking at Justin Madubuike, and if can they now give him the franchise tag? Apparently, before it was 20 million with this new payroll increase. It's about 25, 22. So it's going to be a little tougher on that one. But the Ravens have some time, have some money to spend. Now they have more money to spend. It's going to be interesting what they do. Obviously, they were able to essentially moneyball their way to a great defense. I could see them doing the same thing there. This will be the second part of the discussion about what we could see the Ravens. You already talked about what the Steelers can do here. Ravens apparently are talking about the running back market, which I could see them doing. It's a depressed market right now in terms of value. I think that, because here's the thing: you look at someone like Derrick Henry, and Derrick Henry, for example, if he was in the free agent market a few years ago, he would be getting a massive contract. Saquon Barkley, same thing. Josh Jacobs, same thing. All these guys. But now look at what we're seeing. Like, we're seeing Isaac Pacheco be really good in the 7th round. Seeing all these 2nd round, 3rd round, 5th round running backs being selected. It's going to be really interesting. Do teams take advantage? Now, the question is, are teams going to start to overpay for the receivers more? Are these guys going to ask for more money? And are we going to see a situation where, like, with the running back room, are we going to see teams are going to be more cheaper towards certain positions, like the running back or D tackles or wherever else? And our team's going to take advantage of it. And looking at someone because let's just say, for example, I think the Ravens are going to be going after running back. I think Derrick Henry has been really very much connected to them because they tried to trade for him. They apparently had a verbal agreement with the Titans for Derrick Henry, but the owner nixed it at the last second. Now you don't have to worry about the owner. But if that market, and I think it's like 10 million, but if that market gets down to 7 or goes down to 6 and the demand isn't there, do we see Derrick Henry in Baltimore? And man, that would be terrifying seeing him in that
No
all
thanks.
black.
I'll pass.
But also Saquon Barkley could be an interesting fit depending if his market decreases. Josh Jacobs apparently really wants to be in Baltimore. Like, he can't say publicly that I want to be in Baltimore because of negotiations, but it's sort of, he's kind of hinting towards his agency. I want to be in Baltimore. That is my preferred choice. So that's gonna be interesting what they do there. Obviously, you got like Tony Pollard, DeAndre Swift. You got some other guys that they could target. It's gonna be interesting what they do there. It's gonna be the Ravens. I think are going. They are probably going to lose Kevin Zeitler. Uh, you, I can see them going that veteran route, getting someone there, because they do have some rookies coming in. So it's going to be interesting to see what teams do. T. Higgins apparently isn't too happy. He's going to have a big market, but T. Higgins isn't too happy with the Bengals franchise tagging him. Oh, by the way, the Bengals are going to let Tyler Boyd go to free agency as well. So they could be losing T. Higgins and...
Well, Higgins got franchise tagged, so they have him under control, but I'm sure he's not happy. He wants to get paid. So they're going to try to get the extension done. But that's the trickiest thing, right? I mean, I've seen that here plenty of times with the Steelers. Those extensions are really tricky to agree to if the player is going to stand on his business while the team doesn't really want to do that. So that's going to be an interesting storyline. I don't think Tyler Boyd is going to go back to them. You know, you have the Jamar Chase contract they have to figure out as well. Their salary cap situation is going to be really fascinating to follow these next couple of years.
Receivers though as well. There's always these interesting receivers. Like Mike Williams could be someone that's cut. Then it's gonna be really interesting if Justin Jefferson wants to reset the market. So then I wonder if these receivers are going to wait to see what the Vikings do with Justin Jefferson, because if he gets a market setting contract, everyone else's asks are going to go up. So it's gonna be really interesting there. All right, so now let's move to MLB. We did finally get a signing at 3 a.m. Cody Bellinger, 3-year contract with the Chicago Cubs, $80 million. Opt out after each of the first 2 years. So it's 30. I guess it's like 30, 30, and 20. What are your thoughts on this move?
Yeah, so the Cubs. I mean, I like it for them. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how he does again for this year, just because of how he played last year. I mean, that's a pretty good deal, I would say, from considering how he bat 307 last year, 26 home runs, 97 RBIs, was his first year with the Cubs after spending all of his career with the Dodgers. And, I think for a team like the Cubs, who I know are going to try to get back to the playoffs this year, I like it for them. But now for the market, Adit, do other players start signing now that we are basically at March? Because I know it, everyone that follows baseball knows it. The market has been really slow to develop for a lot of players this year. There's still quite a few free agents out there, including JD Martinez, who I don't know if you saw yesterday, he declined an offer from the San Francisco Giants before they signed Jorge Soler. Apparently, he just didn't want to go to San Francisco, probably because he played for the Dodgers this past season. But the market has just been really slow to develop. But maybe with this Bellinger deal, 3 years, $80 million, I mean, does this get it going fully over the next month? I mean, you would hope so, because there's still quite a bit of really good players who haven't signed yet. And I feel like, I shouldn't even say I feel like, I know this is probably the slowest I've seen the baseball market for as long as I followed baseball. So hopefully, again, this does get it started.
Yeah, I think Bellinger this was more of a case that he wanted a contract to go to a new team. I think the problem with the pitching market, I think the big question is the pitching market. And because right now Matt Chapman is going to be, because right now Matt Chapman's also still a free agent. Imagine that. Like, we haven't even talked about him. I could see Matt Chapman signing a contract soon. I mean, Blake Snell, I could see, honestly, I think Blake Snell, it wouldn't surprise me if we're 2 weeks into opening week or opening day and Blake Snell's not on a team. I think that with the season that he had, the fact that he's a 2-time Cy Young winner, he's not at the point where he has to take a pillow contract or a bridge contract. And at some point, and especially if he waits until after the trade deadline, because he can always build up his arm over a 2 or 3 month period versus if you sign him now, he's got to build up his arm. And whatever team he goes, unless it's a team like the Dodgers, what is he, year 1 and 2? He's year 1 or year 2. So you're going to need him to give you innings really early. Now, Jordan Montgomery, that is a classic case of right time, right, like he's entering the market at the right time. But teams are also waiting for him to move his price down. I think Jordan Montgomery will sign before Blake Snell because I think his price is lowered. But it's going to be really interesting. I think like the Angels, the Red Sox, the Giants, a couple of the other teams are in on Jordan Montgomery. So I expect maybe Montgomery maybe in 2 weeks from now. I think Matt Chapman maybe soon, depending on whatever his market is.
Clevenger still hasn't signed. I don't think either. So
I don't think a team's going to sign Mike Clevenger. Like I'll be honest.
Yeah, no, probably not. To be honest,
No,
I mean, you have Ryu who hasn't signed yet either. Lorenzen.
No, Ryu's in Korea now. He's
on
an 8
that's
year
right. I totally
Korea.
forgot.
So that was the other thing. That was the other thing. Like he signed an 8-year deal.
That one. My bad.
Yeah, but yeah, no, like that's kind of that's basically what it's going to be. I think Blake Snell's not. I think he's going to be the last one of these guys to sign.
Who do you think signs JD Martinez?
Ooh,
he was great last year for the Dodgers. He had a really strong year.
No, I mean he seems like a guy that could be on the Phillies, but the thing is, I don't know where the Phillies would play him. Blue Jays could be an interesting fit. Like I think Blue Jays could use a DH or an outfield bat. I could see him there. I mean, Angels are always a weird team. Like the Angels are always like that weird team. Like they're not like they are kind of stuck in the middle. Like he would be their number 4 hitter if we're going to be honest. I don't think the Marlins will. I think the Dodgers would have. They wouldn't have gone after Teoscar Hernandez if they wanted to bring back JD Martinez. Obviously, you mentioned the Giants aren't going to get him. Padres, maybe if they have the money, maybe the San Diego I'll probably say the Padres. I think they need more protection around Machado.
That makes sense. What do you think of Duvall?
Oh, that's tough. I mean, any of those teams, like whatever team doesn't get JD Martinez, I mean, that's the insane thing about this market. So now let's talk about the other another issue. But I'll show you a picture. I'll show you a picture later of Ohtani in his jersey. But MLB, as you know, MLB has reached a new agreement with I think it was like Nike for jersey design. Now that's fine in terms of performance, but fans have noticed something really odd about this jersey. I see London, I see France, I see MLB messing up their pants design. That's how bad it is.
Yes. I can see it right from here. And this is a small picture, but I can see it right away. I mean, the jerseys this year just look terrible. They look like knockoff versions that you would buy on like that Temu website that were running ads at the Super Bowl. That's what these look like. They look awful. No other league I feel like has problems with their jerseys like this. And like, were you seeing the red? Did you see the Red Sox ones this week?
Oh yeah.
The Red Sox ones were also they look terrible. Terrible.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, because you think about like first of all, you want players to not have to worry about are fans going to see my junk at any point in time. And if you saw the Dodgers Padres game. I don't have an image of it, but you saw one of the Padres players bend down, and you don't know if what you saw was a cup or something else. You don't know if that was the cup or something else. But yeah, like it is ridiculous. I mean, there's so many ways this design is bad. I mean, just like you said, it's a knockoff. I think the pants are too transparent of a color. I mean, if you made the pant colors, if they just took the jersey itself and that was the new material, and then you just use the old pants, that's fine. And then the other issue with the jersey is like if you notice if you watch some games, the names on the back are smaller. Like they are they are smaller. You gotta squint really hard to see. You gotta squint really hard to see those. I mean, so it's. I think the problem more is with the pants, and I think part of it is the color. It's gonna be interesting to see what fixes they make for it, but yeah, this
The
is
fanatic
definitely.
scores are just terrible. Like I don't know why. Like people, it just feels like that these uniforms that we keep seeing and how they keep messing up, they're so cheap. Like again, it feels like a knockoff that you would find on some weird website that would like steal your credit card information or something. It's like gross.
And I get it from a performance aspect. Like you want to improve performance, but you want to make people feel comfortable. And
Right.
I think it's going to be a while, but I mean that's just how the
It just
jerseys
looks so
look.
ugly at the end of the
Yeah,
day.
yeah, and I think that's pretty much. We want to do a short episode today. There really isn't much to talk about. Like
Congrats to the Chiefs. I don't think we congratulated them on winning the Super Bowl, dude, even
oh
though
no, yeah, yeah, it was great.
it's been 2 weeks since we did a show, but I guess we can congratulate the Chiefs for
Yeah,
a great game over the 49ers. I mean, once they got the ball in overtime after the 49ers got the field goal,
yeah.
Adi, you knew that was over, right?
Yeah, and I think the problem is, and we can briefly talk about the game. We could briefly talk about Super Bowl as well here as well. And that was, I get Kyle Shanahan's logic in the sense of, all right, if we're assuming both teams are going to score the same amount of points, the next score wins. Okay, we get that. I get that, but you also have to know,
I would kick it. I would
yeah,
100% kick the ball. Because again, if
well,
you get that stop and say, I know it's Patrick Mahomes, but say you get a stop or even you hold them to a field goal, then you have the advantage of going down and winning the game on your next possession. Like,
no,
sure, I know. Like if they get a touchdown, you have to score a touchdown, and then it's sudden death. That's a totally fair logic, but I still think it's better to kick with those rules. I mean, we saw it even before the Steelers and Ravens played a game a few years ago with new OT rules, but this was not the postseason rules that you see right now. And they were playing with Mason Rudolph, Duck Hodges, and Mike Tomlin kicked the ball to Lamar Jackson. I was like, wait, what? But he trusts his defense enough. They actually got the stop. They didn't even give up points. They get the ball back. It looks like they're about to get in the field goal range. Then Juju fumbles, and then the Ravens win. But still, you saw someone like Mike Tomlin doing that type of strategy even before it was a touchdown scores on the first possession, and then you get the ball back in overtime. He was doing this before that rule was implemented in the playoffs. I know it's different in the regular season, but I still feel like when you have those new rules now, you should still kick it, in my opinion.
yeah, no, absolutely. And here's the other thing, though, right? Like, let's say you're in that decision, you're in field goal range. It's like 3rd and 3, 3rd and 4. All right, I can kick the field goal and I can get the points guaranteed. All right, that's great. Now the thing is, okay, that's great. I can get the guaranteed 3 points, but now the other team knows all they got to do is get 3 points just to tie the game. If they get a touchdown, they win the game.
Right.
Now, would you rather be in the position of I can dictate what the other team does, or would you rather be in the position of I would rather know what the other team was doing before, because to make the decision for me, and that's kind of how I would approach it. And the other thing is, you can't be guaranteed you're going to get a third possession on that drive in overtime. So he was kind of putting the cart behind the horse, and I think this was a little bit of he was overthinking the situation, and I think part of it is, and this is a Kyle Shanahan problem. I mean, we talk about the 28-3. He overthought it. He overthought that game plan in the fourth quarter, and they bit him in the ass. He had that problem a few years ago in that Super Bowl it bit him in the ass there, and it keeps
Mhm.
he keeps doing that, and it's sort of like the league kind of looks at him as this offensive genius. It's like, okay, that's great, but his dad was a good coach. He's
Yeah,
got to learn when to dial back, when to
right.
dial it back, and it's just gonna be really interesting to see
That
what
was one
they
of their
do.
best chances, man. Probably their best chance yet. And it stinks that, that's 3 times in the Super Bowl for Kyle Shanahan. Hasn't been able to do 2 as a head coach, 1 as the coordinator. When is he ever gonna get it? That's my question at this point.
Yeah. So next week, we'll discuss depending on the news this week. We'll discuss if we're going to do a show next week. This might be around the time we do it every 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Just so we could cover if there's enough news to cover. This was just we wanted to get a quick episode in today, so we'll see you either next week or 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, we'll see you all in a couple weeks or potentially next week. Talk to you guys then.
All right.